They don't make them like they used to. This is a phrase that has lingered in my and many others' minds for the past several years, whether it be in music, gaming, or sports. It seems as though the current offerings are not living up to the standards set by their forefathers. Despite what they have created and paved, many seek to just continue on the road ahead with no plans on to evolve the medium, but just play it safe or whatever is cheaper. None exemplify this more than Hollywood. For the past several years, it seems that the only things they have been producing are high-budget sci-fi or fantasy films with little in the way of value. Many of those are either superhero films based off comics, reboots of classic movies, or whatever adaptation that they can get their hands on. Almost all of the top producing films in Hollywood last year was something in one of those categories, and these films are just not good, being overwrought with cringy writing, horrible special effects, predictable plots, and awful characters. It makes one wish for a better time when such films were not overrunning comics, and the stories produced were not more down to earth and relatable. There are even some who see these films as childish, and that the proliferation of these fantasy films are a plague to society at large. While I do agree that these low-quality films need to go, I don't agree that sci-fi fantasy films are inherently bad or childish. There is legitimate artistic work in these films, and some of these said films have become some of the best cinema has to offer. Some such films released in the year 1982, which can be considered one of the greatest years in film history. Works like Blade Runner, Conan the Barbarian, Tron, E.T., The Secret of NIMH, The Thing, and Star Trek II are all considered to be some of the best in their category and show just how great sci-fi and fantasy films can be. They feature intriguing stories that tackle interesting themes that have more depth to them than any sci-fi or fantasy film in the past 5 years. From the nature of human consciousness to the encroachment of technology on natural societies, to the power of will, these films tackle complicated themes that manage to stand the test of time more than any other film of late. It also helps that these films have incredible scripts, amazing actors, and great direction alongside being creative. They also look incredible, with incredible art direction that makes these films look truly otherworldly. The usage of practical effects also contribute to these films, giving them a tactile feel, making the worlds in them feel realer than ever. With this art direction and their overall quality, these films have stood the test of time and are even discussed to this day. They were also relatively cheap to make, not costing hundreds of millions of that most blockbusters require. So that begs the question, why is Hollywood unable to produce something like this anymore? I think it has to do with a number of things. One is that these films were created during a time when sci-fi and fantasy films in Hollywood were few and far between. In fact, there was very little investment in these types of films when Star Wars came along and became a massive box office phenomenon. Studios were eager to invest in anything sci-fi related, hence why so many experimental projects were released. Alongside that, even if these films did not do well in the box office, they could still make money through means like VHS releases, rentals, and even broadcast rights for television. These sorts of avenues don't exist in Hollywood films now. Streaming is not a suitable replacement for rentals. They now know what supposedly works and does not work for these films. On top of that, there is a bunch of other stuff to consider, such as the influence of private equity, economic struggles, and the increase of actor pay, which has resulted in ballooning prices and caused to skyrocket over the past little bit compared to where it was in 1982. Overall, to get back to such films as there were in 1982, Hollywood will have to reconsider their approach to really everything, but that will be difficult and certainly a long time to make. But in the meantime, If you are a smaller director, such limitations are not there for you. With CGI prices becoming cheaper and camera quality becoming better, the possibilities to create such films like in 1982 are more possible than ever. You have more of an ability to create such films than other directors at other point in film making history, so I recommend you do it. Just give it a try.